Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make a butterfly fly along a crooked path using Adobe Animate. We're going to start with actually our picture of the butterfly. So here's the butterfly I found just by a quick web search. And I'm going to get rid of the background. If you've got the butterfly on a background layer, it might be locked like this right here. Just go ahead and click that padlock and the lock will disappear. That way, when I delete the background, it will be transparent, which will be important because you're going to put this butterfly against a background. Now, the picture I have is very large, and I'm actually going to leave it that way just to show you how to change it in Animate. Because I know I can change the size here, but I don't know if I've shown you how to change the size inside of Adobe Animate. So, having said that, I've got this white background. I'm going to find my magic wand tool because that's the easiest way to get rid of the white background. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to hit delete or backspace, giving me a transparent background. Easiest thing in the world. If you choose a picture of a butterfly off the internet that's got a huge kind of complicated background, it's going to take longer to do that trick. So just find one on a white background. It'll save you some time. When you go to File and you go to Save As, there are two different file types. Look, I've named it Butterfly. There are two different file types that will maintain the transparency of the background. One is a PNG or portable network graphic. The other is a GIF or graphic interchange format. I tend to stick with PNG because it maintains a higher quality. It's a lossless format. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I've actually already saved it. So it's going to ask me if I want to replace my old one. Yeah, that's fine. So that part done, I can move back over to Adobe Animate. In Adobe Animate, I'm going to start with my HTML5 canvas like I have before, but I'm going to make my canvas a little bit bigger, physically larger, not just to make the window bigger. So I'm going to start with the properties. And this happened to a lot of you in the first thing we did. If your mouse is clicked on this frame, it'll show you the properties of the frame. If your mouse is clicked on the stage, it'll show you the properties of the stage. So click on the stage. You can change all sorts of things. I'm going to start with changing the stage size. I'm going to make it a little larger just so that you know how to do it. 640 by 480, 640 by 480 is a pretty standard size that's used in a lot of web products. It's kind of small for a web page, but it is one of those standard issue sizes that a lot of web products use. So here we go, 640 by 480, ready to roll. I'm going to import my butterfly. This is how you bring something in. You can import to stage, you can import to library. In this case, I want to show you how to import to library. And I'm going to go find my butterfly. I just did it. I don't see it. That's because it's in the library where I told it to go. There's my butterfly, lo and behold. And I'm going to drag him to my stage. And he's huge. So let me zoom out. And what do you do when this happens? Third tool down is a free transform tool. And that's going to do the trick. Much, much smaller butterfly. Put him back on the stage, put the stage back to normal size. Now we're getting somewhere. Before I can animate this, though, I'm going to have to convert it to a symbol. And there are three different types of three different types of symbols, but for this particular exercise and for most of this week, we're just going to stick with using graphics, which are the simplest kind. So now that my butterfly is on stage, sized correctly and selected, I'm going to go to Modify, Convert to Symbols, right there. And I'm going to make it a graphic. You can call it butterfly if you want. That's it. Okay. Now I've got the regular old butterfly, and that little image indicates that it's just an imported PNG. And this butterfly, which is a graphic. Okay. So I'm going to rename my layer. Why not? We're going to call it, I know, butterfly. I like to name things obviously that I know exactly what the heck I'm talking about. And I'm going to add something new to this layer. I'm just going to right click on the word butterfly, and I'm going to tell it I'd like to add a classic motion guide. When you add a classic motion guide, you can give it a circuitous path upon which to travel. So that's the classic motion guide. You can tell you did it right because there's this kind of arc of little dots right there in front of the word guide. In order to use the guide layer, you have to use the pencil tool. This is the pencil tool. In fact, looks a lot like a pencil. And we're going to draw a guide with the pencil. Now, you know in butterfly, it never flies on a straight path, so we're not going to let this one do that either. You're going to draw sort of a crazy path. And try very hard not to let the path cross back over itself. That just confuses the animation. It doesn't quite know. So this is going to be a great path. If that's not what you wanted, if you started to draw it like this, where it crosses back over itself a lot, it's very difficult for the computer to make the inferences about which path to take, which way to turn. So don't draw one that crosses back over itself. Another thought, and let me expand out my toolbar because it's kind of compacted here, is down here at the bottom. It says straighten, smooth, or ink. You can have it do straighten lines, smooth lines, or ink lines. I'll just switch to ink to see what happens. But you're going to give it a crazy path to travel because butterflies just do that. That's what they do. There you go. Now, I'm going to zoom way in on my little guy here. So I've got a circle right in the middle of him. See the circle that's right in the middle of him? So perfectly round little circle. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put it right on top of the line. And you can actually kind of detect that it's snapping to that line. It almost like tries to grab that line if you do it right. The circle is on the line. Next, I'm going to get into my timeline. So let me push this back so you can see the whole timeline a little better. I'd like in frame 100 on each layer to make something, but I'm going to make something different in each frame 100 because this lesson sort of doesn't work correctly unless I do. So in the guide layer, which is my top layer, on frame 100, what you're going to do is right click, and I've never had you do this before, but you're going to insert just a plain old frame. You don't need a keyframe because nothing on the guide layer moves. So you're just going to put in a regular frame. It's the fifth thing down, insert frame. It looks different than the keyframe too. It's got a rectangle in it instead of a circle. Now on the butterfly layer, at that exact same moment, frame 100, you're going to go back to your old pal, the keyframe. So insert a keyframe there. And at that keyframe, you're actually going to pick up, your butterfly, and you're going to put him right on the end of the line. And again, you see the circle, you're going to put the circle right at the end. And I'll zoom back out. And what you want to do, what you're going to do next is select the entire layer. So you're going to click on the word butterfly. The whole layer becomes orange. And you're going to insert a classic tween. And hopefully, fingers crossed, your butterfly goes on his little circuitous path. Now, should you wonder if it matters what color the path is, it doesn't. Because if you go to, let's see, where is it? Control, and you tell it to test, the black line will disappear and the butterfly will just look like a crazy thing flying around in this pattern. So the last thing I wanted to show you was, should you decide to do so, you can put a background picture behind the butterfly. I'm going to make one last layer. I'm going to call it background, or just BG because I'm lazy. And I'm going to pull it below the butterfly. You see how I've got it stacked in the correct order. Background's at the bottom. I'm going to import. I'm going to go File. I'm going to go to Import. And I went ahead and picked up a photograph earlier. So I'm just going to import to Stage this time because I want you to see the difference. This is my picture of the park. And the butterfly is flying in the park. I can just free transform that larger. I can make it larger with the free transform right here. I'll just pull that out. And now my butterfly has a beautiful park to fly around in. If I go to the control and hit test, you can actually see it a little better. There he goes, flying around the park. It's actually a rather interesting picture. It's very pixelated, but it's kind of cool looking. Couple of things that happen. Sometimes when you do this, I just want to show you one thing that bothered me earlier that I sort of skipped past, but I want to explain it. And I will hide that layer so you can see what I'm talking about. The butterfly is a symbol. And if I happen to, with my black arrow, with my selection tool, double click on the symbol, watch what happens right up here in the upper left-hand corner. It goes into isolation mode. All my layers disappear, and I'm just looking at the butterfly. If that happens to you right now, we're not really prepared to deal with that just yet because there are things you do in isolation mode, and that's for later. So just go back to scene one. See how my layers all came back. Anyhow, what I'd like to see before you walk out of here today is the butterfly against a background flying around in a crazy pattern. So just hit Control Test Movie here, or Control Test, or hit Control Enter on your keyboard and show me your flying butterfly in the park or wherever the heck he is. Okay?